general health of population. Whereas nutrition is the process of utilizing food for growth, metabolism, and repair of tissues. The relation between diet and nutrition is actually a two-way process. You see, if your diet is good, your nutrition is good, your health will be good. If you're healthy, if you think about health and being healthy, you will concentrate more on your diet properly. So that was the definition of health and nutrition. Now let's see what fitness means. Okay. Uh, See, fitness again is one's ability to execute daily activities with optimal performance, endurance, and strength, with the management of disease, fatigue, and stress, and reduced sedentary life. So, again, it is not necessary that being healthy means you are fit. You can be healthy with the absence of disease, but a sedentary lifestyle would not allow you to carry out your normal activities with ease. Example, walking up stairs, going to buy your groceries, walking to your grocery shop, in fact, which most of us don't do these days. You always take out your car. So, if you want to do all these activities with ease, without getting tired, without feeling tired, or without feeling fatigued, your fitness is where it counts. Just the health is not going to suffice over here. Next, we come for all these activities that we are doing, day-to-day activities. What gives us energy? So our body needs fuel for these day-to-day activities. Now, not only when we are awake, but also when we are sleeping. Okay. And here comes a term, metabolism. Metabolism is actually widely misunderstood. So let's see what metabolism is. Metabolism is life-sustaining chemical reactions in all living organisms. We are a living organism. I hope everybody agrees with that. So, in simple terms, the conversion of energy from our food that we eat to energy available to run cellular processes. Cells, our body, human body is made up of cells, the minutest cells. Cells are joined to combine together to form organs. Organs are combined to form our body. So all these cellular processes, the energy that is required to do this, the conversion of the food that we eat to building blocks of proteins, lipids, carbohydrates, and finally the elimination of metabolic waste. Once we eat the food, whatever energy is required, that will be converted, and there will be some wastage. When you, in the olden days, when you used to light up the charcoal chula, you used to have energy to cook food, and finally you used to have that waste which is remaining. So this is a metabolic process. Now, as I said, metabolism is widely misunderstood. Why? Because people say, यार मेरा metabolism कुछ अच्छा नहीं है, या my metabolism is very good. Well, metabolism cannot be good or bad. It can be, however, high or low, meaning some people may need more energy to do your daily activities. Some people may need less energy to do. So often we see people also saying, यार मैं तो कुछ खाता ही नहीं हूँ, but हवा खा के मैं मोटा हो जाता हूँ. Or some people might say that I eat so much and still I don't gain weight. So this is where your high metabolism or low metabolism comes into picture. How much energy you need on a day-to-day basis. So this is just a small diagram which tells us during the metabolism activities, what all things are generated in your body. The anabolism, where something is generated, catabolism, where some substrates are being utilized, and then the waste products of it. So basically, food is the fuel for our body. Now, food that we eat comprises of two different things. One is micronutrients, and other is micronutrients. Macro and micro. So what are macronutrients now? You will ask. So macronutrients are basically carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. These are part of every food that we eat, whether it be vegetables, whether it is meat, fruits, sweets, whatever. They comprise of all these macronutrients: carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Our body can use all these substrates for generating energy. As we spoke, we need energy for our daily activities, and our body can use these three substrates to generate energy. So what is the most common substrate? Most common substrate is glucose in its most simplest form. One molecule of sugar is glucose. Multiple molecules will form glycogen. So as is written over here, glycogen is derived from carbohydrates, glucose or carbohydrates. Now, glucose, when you ingest any food, whether it is cooked food, fruit, or sweet, the glucose that comes in your body, our body can store it directly in the blood. But blood being limited in our body, there's hardly a small quantity that can be stored, just about 5 to 10 grams of it. So what happens to the more amount of glucose that we have ingested from our food? So any food that we ate, that will be broken down into the simplest form of glucose, single molecule. About 5 to 10 grams will be stored directly in your blood. The further quantity beyond 10 grams will be stored in your liver to a little more quantity than 10 grams, and balance of the quantity will be stored in your muscles. That also has a limitation because your muscles are limited. You don't have abundance of muscles in a body. We have limited depending upon your stature, structure, and height, weight, and everything. Approximately around 150 grams you can store in your muscles. Now, what happens to any other additional glucose that you have eaten? So that is the reason why people get fat. This excess of glucose that you have consumed through your meals will get converted into glycogen. It will first get stored in your blood. The balance will go into your blood. Remaining will go into your muscles. Anything more than that, when this storage has consumed, you have already saturated these stores, that will get converted into fat tissue, or we call it as adipose tissue. So this conversion of glucose to glycogen, and then the additional part of it which is still remaining in your body, conversion to adipose tissue, this process is called glycogenesis. Okay. So here is where our insulin comes into picture. Everybody knows about insulin, a hormone which is produced by the beta cells of our pancreas. So insulin mediates the absorption of glucose. So more glucose causes an insulin spike in your body, which is what we need to avoid. As we go further into the slides, you'll get to know how to do that. Now, first part of the substrate was carbohydrates. Next, from your food, what you get is fat. Fats are basically fatty acids, and they're lipids, which also includes triglycerides. Now, fats can be saturated, monosaturated, or polysaturated, depending upon how many carbon chains do they have. A single bond will be saturated, multiple bonds will be monosaturated or polysaturated. Everybody, I believe, has heard about lipid profile. These days, it is a very standard thing to get yourself medically checked. And what you basically check in your medical reports, blood reports, is a lipid profile, which is a very good indicator for a doctor to see how good your health is, basically. So in lipid profile, you have LDL, low density lipoprotein, HDL, high density lipoprotein. LDL is called the bad cholesterol. HDL is called the so-called good cholesterol. Then there is a total cholesterol, which is a summation of all these things. So I think people, you must have seen or heard that cholesterol should be below 200 mg per dl. Triglycerides should be below 150 mg per dl. So these are the things, the fats that we eat, dietary fats, if we have them in excess of the required quantity, your cholesterol, LDL, and all are going to overshoot. There's a way of increasing HDL also, which is a good cholesterol. Let's not go into the science behind it, what LDL does, what HDL does. It will be beyond the scope of today's discussion. But at least I'm definitely sure that you are aware of these terms, lipid profile and everything. So further, these fats are divided into some essential fatty acids. Okay. Now, essential fatty acids, the very term means they're essential. Not all fats are bad. Okay, fats are in fact good for your body. You need certain amount of fat because they're very important. Uh, Fats are basically something which allows you to absorb vitamin A, D, E, and K. These are called fat soluble vitamins. So these are the different type of fats which are available through the food. Linoleic or alpha linoleic acid, gamma linoleic acid, omega 3, omega 6, and the ratios. There are certain ratios in which these fats need to be consumed. Omega 3, the basically, just for your knowledge, the ratio between omega 3 to omega 6 should be around 1:4. That means for every 1 gram of omega 3 that you're having, you should have 4 grams of omega 6. Now, what happens is we basically in our food, the processed food, meat, if you're a meat eater, you get a lot of omega 6, but you don't get omega 3. And when I say these are the essential fatty acids, that means that our body cannot generate them. Our body cannot synthesize them. Our body cannot synthesize them. So we need to take these omega 3 and omega 6 through external sources. That is basically food. I'll cover what food are good in omega 3 and omega 6 in the later sides. Now, imagine your triglycerides, as we talked about, make about 98% of the fats in your body. You imagine how much uh, triglycerides are coming from just the fat that we eat. So anything in excess of the required quantities are going to shoot your blood reports in a very haywire way. But please remember, men need about 3 to 5% of the fat in their body. That is basically the essential fat. And women need around 10 to 12% of essential fat in their body. That is why it is called essential fat. You cannot survive below these limits. If someone says that I work out too much and off late I've come down to 2% fat, I barely have any fat, or a woman says that I'm at 8% fat, it's absolutely wrong. It is not physically and in a healthy way possible for someone to survive with this less amount of fat. Fats are also further categorized into subcutaneous fat, visceral fat, okay, and adipose tissue. So visceral fat is the fat that is encompassing or around your vital organs. That is something, a padding that is protecting your organs. Subcutaneous fat is the fat that you see in between your skin. And adipose tissue is the love handles. Everybody loves love handles. So that is called the adipose tissue. So once you start burning calories, once you have a proper diet and you start losing fat, you will start losing fat from all these uncommon areas first, the areas where you don't actually need fat, your chin, okay, shoulders, arms, and you see that the last bit of the fat that is surrounding your belly, or for women the hips, because this is where the reproductive organs are for women, and for men, around the belly area. Those are the regions where you have the maximum amount of fat. That is a natural tendency of a body. It wants to preserve that fat in that area to protect these organs. So we have seen carbohydrates as a substrate. We have seen fatty acids as a substrate, and last is protein. Protein basically amino acids. Okay. Now, proteins, although they are a substrate for energy, but they are the last source for energy, because amino acids are basically used by your body for building block. It's called basically a building block of your body. Your body as such is amino acids. Your muscles, your organs, everything, if you break them down, are made by amino acids. So whenever you work out in your daily day to day, your hair fall, a new hair grows, you get hurt, you have a bruise, it heals. This is happening because of amino acid. So amino acid is working in an anabolism way to create and heal you, to grow muscles. That is where amino acids are. In case you're not having sufficient carbohydrates or fat, then as a last resort, when since the body needs energy, it will start breaking down proteins for generating energy. Okay. The last, but one of a very most important factor, very important factor in your macronutrients is fiber. Now, fiber generally does not account for any calories. It has just about 1 or 2 calories, but it is very, very important for your good gut health. Because it normalizes your bowel movements. It helps you maintain a good bowel health. It lowers your cholesterol level. Okay. It does help you bring down your cholesterol level. It helps control blood sugar levels because it reduces the insulin spike. Since fiber is helpful in reducing the insulin spike, it in a way helps you control your blood sugar level, and it aids in achieving healthy weight also. Okay. So how much fiber do you need? Generally, about 30 to 50 grams of fiber in your food is good enough. You know, or as a thumb rule, what you can do is 15 grams of fiber for every 1,000 calories that you consume. So you can just adjust. On the higher side, if you go, if I say a 2,000 calorie diet, it will be about 30 grams. If you go on a higher side also, 40, 50 grams, very good. Fiber is not going to cause any harm unless it's consumed in too extra a quantity, where it can then be taxing on your bowels also, because fiber gives bulk to your stool. So you can imagine if you give too much bulk to your stool, what will happen. Now we covered macronutrients. Now, what are micronutrients? So, micronutrients are basically the vitamins and minerals that you get from the food that you eat. So, vitamins, I believe we all are aware. There are vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K. These are the only known vitamins that we have. And there are certain minerals which are very important for your day-to-day functioning. So minerals like sodium, chlorine, potassium, calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, iron, zinc, iodine, chromium, selenium. There are a few others which I have not mentioned here, but these are the important minerals. Now, believe me, our body requires all these vitamins and minerals in proper regulated quantities to function most effectively. Anything which is not consumed to the required level, your body will start showing you its effects. These days we feel lazy, we are not having enough energy. This is all because of the lack of vitamins and minerals. Oxidative stress. I believe people must have heard about this term, oxidative stress. Your body is in a constant state of chronic stress. And why we are not able to come out of it is because of a lack of intake in vitamins and minerals. Okay. So we'll look into these vitamins, micronutrients a bit deeper in the later slides. So we saw all the substrates that we get from our food, which can be used for food, fuel. So food basically fuels our body. Now, that is for sure. And to regulate, okay, if you want to regulate our diet properly to maximize the health benefits, we need to have a proper diet. So every individual has certain requirement of energy. The energy, as I said, that food that is giving you this energy. So everybody has a different daily energy requirement, and the unit of energy is calorie. Okay. So how do we get these calories from the different substrates that we saw? How many calories and what do they account for? So fat gives you 9 calories. 1 gram of fat gives you 9 calories. 1 gram of carbohydrate gives you 4 calories. Similarly, protein, it gives you 4 calories. So you can see now, 1 gram of fat gives you 9 calories. You can imagine how dense a fat is. So if you say that I just had one muthi of kaju, but that one muthi of kaju or one muthi of fruit, you know, one fist of fruit and one fist of kaju. You can imagine fruit is basically a carbohydrate and this kaju is basically fat. So one is giving you 4 calories, the other is giving you 9 calories. And you can very easily actually eat kaju, one muthi of kaju, on maybe about 15-20 grams. You can very easily consume that and you will not come to know. More often than not, when do we consume all these things? With chakna, our evening alcohol. So you can imagine, though we don't account for it, how much excess of calories we gain from these things. Okay. Also, you must have seen these days, the FDA has given regulations that all food labels should mention how much calories are there in the particular food item. So all these food labels will tell you the total number of calories, how many calories you're getting from carbohydrates, how many calories you're getting from proteins and fats in that particular item. So this helps you basically in understanding that the stuff that you're eating, that packet of chips that you're eating, or some processed food that you're eating, how many calories you're getting. Don't give a blind eye to that food label. It's given there by FDA for certain reason, so that you can make a right decision whether you want to have it or not, and if you're having it, where to stop, how much you can eat and where to stop. Okay. So calories, that is why these calories are so important, because these calories are giving you the energy. Now basically your nutrition and diet is going to be a very simple fundamental. See, as I said, you need energy to survive for your day-to-day activities. Okay. You need a certain amount of energy. Now, you must have also heard something about energy balance. This term is also very widely used these days everywhere. Energy balance. Now, what is energy balance? As we discussed, as I told you, that you need certain amount of energy. So you need that X amount of energy. Now, if you eat more than that energy that you need, okay, so you are in an energy positive. So you needed that X amount of energy, but you have consumed more energy. So what will happen to that energy? You will gain weight, I think, but obvious. Similarly, if you need this X amount of energy and you are eating less than that, okay, so now you're eating less, so you're going to lose weight because the body is still going to need that energy. It is going to consume it from somewhere. It's going to consume it mostly from your stored reserves. Stored reserves can be carbohydrates, stored reserves can be fat. In the next coming slides, I'll tell you how to adjust these. So that's the basic of any diet and nutrition plan. Okay. Basically, maintain your energy balance. If you need X amount of energy, you have exactly X amount of energy. You will not lose weight. You will not gain weight. If you want to lose weight, you need to eat less than the energy requirement. Okay. Now, to better understand this energy balance, I'll introduce you to certain important terms so that you are aware how to calculate this energy. So, BMR, basic metabolic rate. How many of you have heard this term before? Okay, very good. Saurabh sir, you have heard. I think many people, Akshat has also heard. So, as the slide says over here, BMR is the energy your body burns when at rest to maintain essential life sustaining functions such as breathing, heartbeat, your brain function. Every activity that you do, your heart is beating continuously 24 hours, 7 days a week. Your heart is working from the time you were born till your last breath that you take. It's one of the best pumps that the God has invented. I don't feel in a shipping there is any pump which can last so long, but this pump works continuously. So obviously it needs some energy. Next is your brain. Even when you're sleeping, your brain is still working. The dreams that you have, the repair work that the brain is directing your body to do, that needs energy. लैपटॉप तो हम बंद कर देते हैं, कंप्यूटर भी बंद कर देते हैं, ब्रेन यू कैन नॉट स्विच ऑफ. So that is consuming some energy. Now this accounts for almost 60 to 75% of the total energy that you need in a day to survive. That is your BMR. So if you're just sleeping, also just sleeping 24 hours, your body will still need this energy, which is about 60 to 75% of the total energy that is required. You can imagine that's the major chunk of your energy. Next is something called as metabolic equivalent. It is also called as exercise activity thermogenesis. Okay, this is the energy that you require when you're doing some workout. Let's say you're playing cricket, you went out for a jog or went out for bicycling or something. So an exercise, it is per se exercise related. Okay, that is the energy that you'll require for doing that exercise. Okay, a round of gym, a round of cricket, a round of badminton, whatever. So that is the energy that is going to be used for that sports activity. Then you have something called as NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So earlier we said we went out for playing cricket or we went out to play badminton. Now let's say in a society, you are from your home, you went to that clubhouse walking. Okay. So this walking will be included in the NEAT. And then you played that game. Okay. So this NEAT refers to the energy you burn through all your daily activities that are not planned exercises, such as walking, cleaning, fidgeting, standing, all these energy. Washing utensils, it's not an exercise, but it's good to increase your NEAT. Okay. So the best way to actually increase your calorie deficit or increase your energy requirement is to increase your NEAT. Okay. If you increase your NEAT, automatically your energy requirement goes high. And if you're consuming less energies, that means now you're burning more, but consuming less, it will aid you in losing fat. Plus, it will keep you more active also. The more active you are, the better it is for you. Then lastly, there's something called as TEF, thermic effect of food. When you eat certain food, your body needs to digest it, isn't it? So now in the digestion process, there is some energy required for the body to digest that food. So that particular energy is called as thermic effect of food. That generally accounts for about 10% of the total energy that you require in a day-to-day basis. Here one good thing is, if you read the slide, different foods have different thermic effect. Okay, the thermogenesis, this thing is different. So as we discussed, there are carbohydrates, there are fats, and there are proteins. Now, protein, to digest protein, you need the maximum amount of energy. So about 20 to 30% of the calories from this 10%, 20 to 30% will go to digest protein. Carbs take about 5 to 10, and fat is the least. So that means अगर आप फैट ही खाते जा रहे हो, उसको बर्न करने के लिए बॉडी को कुछ एनर्जी ही नहीं चाहिए. Or if I give you an example in a layman's term, people who cook food, men, women, I won't be sexist over here. Both. These days, everybody can cook. So आप दाल चढ़ाते हो तो दाल को कितनी सीटी लगती है, और आप सब्जी चढ़ाते हो तो सब्जी को कितनी सीटी लगती है. So दाल को ज्यादा सीटी लगती है. So दाल is taking more energy to cook. Here I'm not per se saying protein, dal protein है, vegetable is not protein. I'm not, just giving an example कि किसी चीज को डाइजेस्ट करने के लिए एनर्जी कितनी लगती है. सो प्रोटीन टेक्स द मैक्सिमम अमाउंट ऑफ एनर्जी टू बी डाइजेस्टेड. So the more protein you have, more your thermic effect of food will be, and more energy you will need in your body. And now if you're eating less, that means you'll be able to lose weight, fat faster. Okay, so that's the importance of protein in your diet. So final term was TDEE, total daily energy expenditure. Okay, this is the number of calories that you will burn in a day to maintain yourself, total. So what TDE will be? TDE will comprise of BMR, your basic metabolic rate, MET, metabolic equivalent, that is the exercise, NEAT, they are non-exercise activity thermogenesis, and TEF. Okay, so how do you calculate now all these things? ये इतना सब तो बता दिया, इसको भी calculate कैसे करें? Okay, so there are different calculators. There are basically formulas, you know, a certain formula which is to be used. There's no point going into formula these days because there are a lot of apps in the market which you can use, and you can calculate your BMR and TD. What it basically needs is, it basically just needs your age, your gender, your height, your weight, your fat percentage, and the activity. You can be moderately active, you can be lightly active. Lightly active is, let's say you're just working 1 or 2 days per week, so that means you're lightly active or no activity. Moderate is 2 to 3 days per week. Extensive activities if you're working 6 days a week, or your work can be in itself more active. As we say, like on ship, there are two classes of people, a worker class and a manager class. So a manager class is me, दिन भर वेला बैठा रहता है. We are not physically active, but a person who is working on deck, he is physically active, he is doing hard labor over there. A person who is digging the road to lay a pipeline, he is physically active. You cannot compare your energy requirement with him if you're just doing a 9 to 5 desk job. Okay, so your energy requirement and his energy requirement, just because of the activity level, will be different. Now you go to a gym in the evening and do 2 hours of workout, still you will not consume as much calories as he is consuming in a day. Your exercise, a very hard session of high intensity exercise, will burn just about 200 to 300 calories. Believe me, you can go and check. So that is why people who say that I work out too much and still not losing weight, it is not because you're working out too much and not doing proper thing. Your diet is not proper. So now let's see how to use this knowledge to plan a diet. Okay, now we have seen what are the energy sources, what are the different substrates for our energy, how much total energy we need. So now let's see how we can use all this to plan a diet. Okay, so first you need to calculate the TDE, okay, that you are going to need, as we saw in the previous slides. So I'll take my example over here. It becomes easier for calculation. So my age is 45, my height is 166 centimeters, my weight is 68, body fat is 15%, slightly less. I have just rounded it off to 15%. So if you use these parameters in any of the calculators that I showed you earlier, I get again close to, my BMR comes to close to 1500 calories, and my TDE comes to 2300 calories. This is considering I'm doing a moderate activity. Okay. You just have to feed in your activity level. Don't bother too much about how many times you need to multiply and all that. These calculators are very streamlined, and 90% of them will give you the same result. So a few calories here or there, 50 calories here or there will not make too much of a difference. Okay. Now, if you want to reduce your weight, so we reduce the calories by 10 to 15% of the TDE. Don't start reducing too much. Okay. If you're looking for a weight loss. On the other hand, if there is someone who is looking for a weight gain, some fortunate people, they might need to weight gain also. Not all of us want to lose weight. Some people might want to gain weight also. But again, believe me, gaining weight in a clean way is also very difficult. It's not so easy. You can eat junk and gain weight, but that will be fat, not muscle. Gaining muscle is difficult. So if you want to gain weight, just increase the calories by 2 to 100 to 200 calories from your total TDE as was shown by the calculator. And never go below your BMR. Okay, your BMR was basal metabolic rate. Never ever go below that. Because what happens, as we said, as I told you, BMR is the minimum calories that you need for a normal functioning of a body, as if you're just sleeping day to day. Now, imagine if you, let's say for me, my BMR is 1500 calories. That means just to survive, for my heart to work, for my brain to work, kidneys to work, digestion to work properly, I need 1500 calories. And I'm not giving my body that much calorie. Imagine what will happen. My body will try to compensate that energy from somewhere else. Maybe I'll have a brain fog. I'll not be able to think properly. I'll not be able to sleep properly. Maybe my digestion will go for a toss. Somewhere something is going to compensate. The body is going to compensate for that loss of energy from somewhere. Okay. You will not be able to maintain body temperature. Your temperature will start falling down. Okay. The hypothalamus, which is controlling the temperature of your body, that will not work effectively. So do not go below BMR. So considering you want to reduce weight, I took about 13% less. So 300 calories are subtracted from 2,300 calories. And I said I'll plan a diet for about 2,000 calories. So now how to distribute? Okay, you got 2,000 calories. I need to consume 2,000 calories. But from where these 2,000 calories are now going to come? Okay, so let us distribute these macros. So most important of your macronutrient should be protein. Okay. Now, recently, just this year, ICMR, your Indian Council of Medical Research, they have renewed their guidelines. Earlier the protein intake used to be 0.8 grams per body weight. That was hardly anything. So now they have topped it up. They've increased it to 1.2 grams. This is, they say, a minimum 1.2 grams per kg of your body weight should be the protein content to have a healthy weight, to have a healthy muscle mass in your body. If you are working out, if you're athletic or something, you can go up to 1.5 to 1.8 also. And I would suggest, if you're used to taking protein, go up to 2 grams. No harm. The US Council of Heart and other highly recognized medical authorities say up to 3.5 will not harm your body unless you have a pre-existing kidney condition or a liver condition. If you have any of these, it is always better to take advice from your medical practitioner, and only on his consent, then you can adjust your protein intake. But again, as I'm discussing over here, let's say you're not used to consuming, because we in our Indian diet, all the more if you're not consuming meat or non-vegetarian, our protein intake is very, very less, very, very less. So you cannot suddenly shoot it up to 1.5 to 2 grams. So what you can do is gradually start off, keep it 1 gram per kg of your body weight, and then slowly increase it to 1.5, 1.8, and then 2 grams. So here I have considered, for me, myself, I have considered 1.5 grams. Okay. You can start it with slightly less also. So let's say I'm 68 kg and I'm considering 1.5. So I need 102 grams of protein per day in my diet. So now 102 grams, what will it convert to calories? Into 4. Okay. So 408 calories I'm going to consume from protein. Okay. Then fat. Let's come to fat. Now again, the good amount of fat that you need per day in your diet is about 25 to 35%. There's a range, 25 to 35%. You can play around this range. And as I have mentioned, let me reiterate, fats are very essential. Okay. Fats are very essential for your body. They are a very good source of energy. Fats are a very good source of energy. And more importantly, they are important for fat soluble vitamins, for the absorption of fat soluble vitamins. They are also important for certain hormones. Your testosterone, it requires cholesterol and fat for its generation, to produce testosterone. So that these hormones, they need fat. So your fat is important. Don't think that fat is bad. In fact, no food is bad. Quantity is what matters. So adequate amount of fat is considered to be around 25 to 35%. Since we are going to have a calorie deficit and we want to reduce our carbs, let us start with 35% of fat. It's no harm to keep it on the higher side. As I said, beyond 35, we don't need to go, but we will keep it at 35%. So 35% of 2000 calories, it is coming around 700 calories. So 700 calories, if we now again convert how many grams of fat we need to consume. So 700 divided by how much was 1 gram of fat? 9. Okay. So 9. So divided by 9. So that will give us about 77.8, 78 grams of fat. So protein is done. Fats are done. We know how many grams of protein we need to have. We know now how many grams of fat we need to have. So the balance of our calories, 2000 calories, we'll get from carbohydrates. Okay. So balance of our calories are coming from carbohydrates. So my diet was, I needed to consume 2000 calories, 408 calories came from protein, 700 calories came from fat. So 892 balanced calories I need to consume from carbs. That is about 223 grams. Okay. So now I know in my calorie diet, in my diet, what is the amount of protein I need to have, what is the amount of fat I need to have, and what is the amount of carbs I need to have. And I am in 300 calorie deficit. So every day I'm going to consume 300 calories less, but because of my activity that I'm going to maintain, I will end up burning these 300 calories excess from my body, and that is going to come from the stored fat that I have, the adipose tissue. We don't want to burn it from the fats that are free fatty acids. What are free fatty acids? Free fatty acids are something which are floating in your blood, available for instant. We don't want that. That, let us keep it for other beneficial activities. We want to get rid of the adipose tissue. So your calorie deficit is going to help you do that. Okay. So once you have done this diet, you start consuming this diet, and you see over a period of time, as you consume that protein, you're getting good results and you're getting used to consuming and digesting that protein. Start increasing it slowly. Okay. Build it up to about 2 grams per kg of your body weight. And once you are increasing the protein, you still need to maintain that calorie. So now what can you do is, what can you reduce if you're increasing your protein intake? You can reduce your carbs, or you can reduce a little bit of your fat, because we were already at 35. So maybe you can bring it at 30%, and then the balance again you can reduce from your carbs. Okay. So the more muscles you build, the more fat you will lose slowly. Okay. So we saw about the calories that are going to come from macronutrients. Okay. Now let us see what micronutrients. We said protein. Okay, we need to have protein. We said we need to have fat. We said we need to have carbs. So now let us see what all you can use when it comes to use of proteins, fat, and this thing. So we'll start off with protein. Okay. So what are the good sources of protein? I've listed out a few: eggs, lean meat, that is chicken breast, turkey, fish, paneer, tofu, quinoa, lentils. Okay, these are all. If you're a vegetarian, of course, it becomes a little bit difficult for you to consume protein. In that case, again, I have not, let me tell you before, and I'm not including any supplementation in this particular topic. Maybe in the coming sessions later on, we will include that. But if you're, just to highlight, if you're a vegetarian, it is a bit difficult. I'm not saying impossible, but it is a bit difficult because then you have to rely a little bit more on paneer or soya, lentils, stuff like this to match up to your protein requirement. And that is where when you need a little helpful, easier way, then you can have whey protein. It's absolutely okay, absolutely safe, no issues with it. But let's keep it for discussion at a later session. Okay. Here I would like to just highlight, avoid red meat. Red meat is not too good because red meat is high in fat, and it is high in purine. Purine is something else. Purine and protein don't mix up with purine and protein. Protein is protein, amino acid. Purine is something which is a byproduct of your digestion of protein. Okay, so purine has its adverse effects. So that is why red meat should be avoided. Uh, Disadvantage of not eating non-vegetarian is meat is called a complete amino acid profile. Meat has a complete amino acid profile. So when we talk about amino acids, there are 9 essential amino acids. Okay, these again, when we say 9 essential amino acids, because our body cannot synthesize them, our body cannot produce them. Overall, there are about 21 amino acids. Out of these 21, 9 are essential. These 9 our body cannot synthesize. The other balance we can. The other 11 we can synthesize. But unfortunately, the vegetarian diet, they do not have a complete amino profile. Rice by far is the only product which has, out of these 9, which has 7 of the amino acids. So rest, if you're having lentils, dal, pulses, tur dal, masoor dal, these have limited amount of certain essential amino acids. So you will need to have a good mix and match to complete your amino profile. A complete amino profile is very important for building clean and good quality of muscle mass. Okay, so you can have these protein sources to include. You can include them in your diet to make your macros, complete your macros. Next is carbs. So again, I've listed out a few good sources of carbs. So rice, wheat, bajra, ragi, jowar, sattu, oats, poha, suji, green leafy vegetables, of course, potato, sweet potato, whole wheat pasta. Okay, when I say whole wheat pasta, it basically means unprocessed wheat. Okay, if you're having these days, because it's a lot of marketing gimmick, white bread, brown bread. Brown bread is better than white bread. No, nowhere it is written. And if you see the label, it will give you exactly the same calories and everything is same. Only a brown coloring is added to make that white bread brown. When we say brown bread, basically or technically, it should be whole wheat bread with minimum of preservatives and processing in it. So if you use wheat and bake a bread at home, yes, then I would say it is a good quality bread, because when you bake at home, you don't use any preservatives, you don't use processing. So that is good. Otherwise, white bread, brown bread, the market one, it is exactly the same. Why white or whole wheat bread is better otherwise? Because as we all know, the processing takes away a lot of fiber, vitamins, and minerals from the wheat. So the good quality is gone. Calorie wise, otherwise it is the same. But when you have something which is unprocessed, you are getting the wholesomeness from that product. You are getting those fibers, you are getting the vitamins, you are getting the minerals, and that is why it is beneficial. Include at least 2 to 3 servings of fruits in your diet. It's very important to get that fiber and to get bioflavonoids. Okay, bioflavonoids are very essential. They are carotenoids, bioflavonoids. They are anti-inflammatory, so they will help you reduce that stress and oxidation in your body. That's very important. So include, and the more colorful your fruits can be, the more bioflavonoids they have. Okay, they are basically very good antioxidants. Next, we'll discuss about the sources of fats. So if you're a pescatarian, fish eater, fish is one of the best. In amongst the fish also, it is anchovy, sardines, tuna, salmon, rohu. These are all which are in good fat. They are basically known as good fat, fatty acid fish. Okay. So as if you can remember, recollect from the earlier site where I said omega-3 and omega-6. So if you are having fish, you don't need to worry about your intake on omega-3, because these fatty fish, they have a good source of vitamin omega-3. Uh, Amongst the omega-3 and omega-6, omega-3 is called as an anti-inflammatory omega, whereas omega-6 is a inflammatory omega. Now, inflammation, anti-inflammation in our body, both are happening at the same time. When you have a sprain, you have uh, a virus attacking you in a particular cell or something. Both these processes are acting together. Okay, initially to kill the virus, to heal, there will be inflammation. So omega-6 is important at that time. You need inflammation to reduce that swelling, to heal that wound. But once the healing starts, then you need to reduce that inflammation. So that is when omega-3 comes. If you don't curb that inflammation, that anti-inflammation is not coming into picture, your inflammation will continue, and your body will go into that oxidative stress. You don't want that. So that is why this balance needs to be maintained. Paneer, walnuts, chia seeds, peanuts, hazelnuts, avocado. Avocado in our country, it's expensive. Abroad, we get them easily. So avocado is a very good source of fat, good fat, I would say. Now, fats in a diet are called as visible fats, okay, and something which is just a fatty food. So, what are visible fats? Visible fats, let's go to the next slide to tell you what are visible fats. So, visible fats are basically the fats that you're using during your cooking. So, it can be oil, it can be lard. Lard is basically animal fat, one of the worst thing that can be used. But abroad, it is randomly, very frequently used, and oils. Okay, these are visible fat. Now we need to keep our visible fat to minimum as possible, and I would say about 15 to 20 grams per day for a 2000 calorie diet. Rest of your fatty acids, you can consume from the sources that I showed you earlier. Okay, so here in this list I have not included oil. If you can see, these are the natural sources of fats which are good for you. Okay, we want to avoid the visible fat, that is cooking oil. And again, these days we can see everywhere there are so many articles about which oil to use, why to use, Indian cooking. Just be mindful that every oil has a smoke point, and it has something called as saturated fatty acid, SFA. It has a polyunsaturated fatty acid, PUFA. It has a monounsaturated fatty acid, MUFA. Okay, and the smoke point. You want a oil which has more of PUFA, MUFA, less of saturated fatty acid, and a high smoke point. Because in Indian cooking, we heat a lot, you know, we cook for a long time, we fry, तला वाला ये सब तो यानी इसके बिना अपना खाना होता नहीं है, जब तक कि उसको अच्छे से तलेंगे नहीं, स्वाद नहीं आएगा, क्रिस्प नहीं होगा जब तक कि वो, तब तक कि वो स्वाद आएगा नहीं. अब in doing all this, you are heating that oil to a temperature where it may go beyond the smoke point. So smoke point technically or basically is the point at temperature at which the oil starts giving off that smoke. If you heat it beyond this point, the oil starts integrating, disintegrating. Its molecular form starts disintegrating. And that is when the oil starts going bad. आपने एक बार उस तेल को गर्म किया, उसके बाद उसको डिस्कार्ड कर दो. डोंट वरी अबाउट द कॉस्ट. वो कॉस्ट को बचाने के चक्कर में आप खुद के हेल्थ को जितना डैमेज करोगे, it will be nothing as compared to saving on that cost. Throw that oil. Why? Because you have heated that oil once. आपने उसको एक बार यूज कर दिया, उसमें आपने कुछ खाना बनाया, जो खाना बनाया वो उसमें ऑलरेडी मिक्स होके थोड़ा सा मॉलिक्यूलर स्ट्रक्चर ऑलरेडी हैज चेंज. नाउ यू रीहीट फॉर द नेक्स्ट टाइम. इसका स्मोक पॉइंट ऑलरेडी कम हो चुका है. So now instead of ghee, which I said for 250, or let's say mustard oil 250, the second time when you're reheating that same oil, probably the smoke point has come down to 200. Now you reheated that oil again, mixed some different food in it, again disintegrated it, उसको और saturated बना दिया आपने, और पूफा मूफा तो चला गया, उसको तो भूल ही जाओ. अब हो गया वो सैचुरेटेड फैटी एसिड. अब उसको आपने एक और बार यूज किया, और हमारी मम्मी ने बोला नहीं नहीं, तेल कैसे हम फेंक सकते हैं, इतना खर्चा थोड़ी करेंगे, अब हम उसमें वापस से तीसरी बार पूरी तलेंगे. और वो पूरी तलने के चक्कर में वो 150 पे आ गया, 150 पे आ गया उसका स्मोक पॉइंट, एंड हम उसमें बढ़िया से पूरी तल के अभी खा रहे हैं. नाउ यू इमेजिन हाउ मच अमाउंट ऑफ सैचुरेटेड फैटी एसिड यू हैव कंज्यूम्ड. एंड टू डाइजेस्ट दैट फैटी एसिड, हमारा टीईएफ कितना रहेगा? 0. कुछ नहीं रहेगा. तो कैलोरी तो कोई बर्न नहीं होगी, कैलोरी खा ली हमने, और वो डायरेक्टली आपके एडिपोज टिश्यू में चलेगी, बिकॉज फैट्स आर वेरी रेडिली एब्जॉर्ब बाय द बॉडी. उसको कोई कन्वर्जन लगता ही नहीं है. ओके, सो दैट इज व्हाई यूज योर फैट्स टू द मिनिमम. आई होप दिस इज well taken. So we have covered macronutrients. Now let us cover micronutrients. So as I said, micronutrients are minerals and vitamins. Okay, now they perform a range of functions. Okay, they are helpful for producing enzymes, hormones, for growth, for conversion of energy, basically to maintain a healthy homeostasis in the body. They are very, very important. Okay, and deficiencies of these is going to result in something or the other. Now studies have shown that most of the deficiencies are because of iron, vitamin A and vitamin D, and in children and pregnant women. At least our generation, I would say, was still better off. A generation before us, they were much better. But you can see these days, young kids are having rheumatoid arthritis, they have carotid arteries, they have breathing problems. There are so many problems. You know, it's all because of the adulterated food or the lack of vitamins and minerals in their diet. We don't get them enough in our diet, sadly, very sadly. So micronutrient deficiencies can cause visible and dangerous health conditions, but they can also lead to less clinically and notable reduction in energy levels. Okay, mental clarity and overall capacity. So as I said, you know, we are still better off. The next generation that is coming, because of more and more processing of food, and they are being declined of good quality of food actually. Plus we are not very much into supplements, so that is why there is a very shortage, too much shortage of vitamins and minerals in our diet, and that leads to all these problems in young kids. So I have just listed out. I'll not go through them in very depth, too much depth. The slides are there in front of you. But what I need to highlight is in the slides, fat soluble vitamins, as I've mentioned, A, D, E, K. Their various importance. Now the sources. Sources are a little bit important. So vitamin A, you can get retinol, you can get from dairy, fish, okay, liver. There are certain vegetarian foods also in which you get, and then on the right hand side you will see one column which is called as RDA, recommended daily allowance, and the last column you can see there is one column as optimal level. Okay, so just have a look at this slide. You can see the vitamins: vitamin D, sunlight, fish oil, milk, vitamin E. You see the RDA, and then you see the optimal level. Can you see the difference between these two, RDA and optimal level? So RDA, as I said, is a recommended daily. It's a recommended minimum. This is the minimum amount that you need, and then there is an optimal level. Okay, I'll go through a few other slides and you see the glaring difference between these two columns. So we discussed in the earlier sites fat soluble vitamins, that is vitamin A, D, E, K. Now remaining is vitamin B and vitamin C. These two are water soluble vitamins. What does it mean? A, D, E, K need fat to get absorbed by the body. Without fat, you cannot absorb them. Your body cannot absorb them because they need fat to transport them through our blood. Our blood directly cannot transport them. Whereas water soluble vitamins, vitamin B and vitamin C, can be absorbed directly by the body, by the blood, and can be transported and given to the cells in the basic form by blood. Okay. Also, because they are water soluble, you cannot have toxicity of these vitamins, vitamin B and vitamin C. Because if you have vitamins B and vitamin C in excess, it will be flushed out through your urine or excretion. Unlike the fat soluble vitamin, because again, they will need fat to take them out of the body. But fortunately, we are nowhere close to toxicity. So forget that we are nowhere close to the optimal level. So toxicity की तो बात ही नहीं आती है ना? We are absolutely nowhere close. Now vitamin B again is, there are 8 different type of vitamins, and all of these are very, very important for our body because they help in generation of energy, transfer of energy, and a lot of cellular processes that keeps on going in our body. So they are very, very important. Vitamin C is again a very important vitamin. Antioxidant, it's the biggest antioxidant known to us, and you need to have it in a very good quantity. Now, good quantity, what is good quantity? Again, the chart comes where vitamin B to vitamin C I have mentioned. I have mentioned the sources of these vitamins, and then again there is RDA and there is optimal level. Now again, I can say that you can see the glaring difference between the RDA and the optimal level. You see, if we take RDA of vitamin B1, it is 1.1 to 1.2 milligram is the RDA, recommended daily allowance, and the optimal level is 20 milligrams, almost 10 times. Okay, sorry, almost, yeah. So you can see how big the difference is. Vitamin B9, 400 microgram mcg and 1000 microgram. Okay, this is the 2.5 times is the difference. 2.5 times. That is something. Okay, citrus vitamin. You just see vitamin C. Now, if you have noticed, how many of you all take vitamin C supplements, tablets? Anyone? Saurabh sir, what is the general quantity of vitamin C that you have in the tablets available in the market?
I haven't checked that, but not very sure.
Okay, so on an average, a normal vitamin C supplement tablet will have 400 to 500 milligram. Okay, that's the standard size available. So that, and the RDA on that will be 1 tablet per day or maximum 2 tablets per day. But here the optimal level is 2000 milligram. So that means you need to have 4 tablets of that if you're not consuming enough citrus fruits or other food materials that can compensate for this. So those were vitamins. Now let's see minerals. So there are minerals also, a lot of minerals which are very important for your body. Calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, chloride, potassium, sulfur, and all these vitamins you're supposed to get it from the plants that you eat. Correct? Unfortunately, the plants do not have these many chemicals these days because the soil itself does not have. And why the soil does not have? Because if you see our Indian uh, farming, which has evolved since independence, 1968 or something, there was a farming revolution by Srinathan. There was one scientist who invented the genetically modified seeds or high yielding seeds. Now these seeds were only for a few type of crops. the wheat, flour, bajra, and all these type of crops. So mostly the farming revolution, if you can remember, was up north, Punjab, Haryana side. South में कुछ ज़्यादा आया नहीं इनका. And because of this high yielding seeds, the cultivation was very high. We produced a lot of crops. But what that meant is, 1 एकड़ के ऊपर आप पहले जो नेचुरल ऑर्गेनिक उगाते थे, अब वो आप फटाफट उगा के उसको मल्टीप्लाई करा रहे हो. So you're consuming everything from that soil, and you're not replenishing that soil with good fertilizer, organic fertilizer. The normal cheap fertilizer that the farmers get, it has only nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Okay, NPK we call it. Okay, NPK fertilizer. That's the only minerals that you're pouring. And over a period of time, आपने वो तेल में से आपने वो धरती में से सारा मिनरल निचोड़ लिया, सारा का सारा निचोड़ लिया पहले कुछ 10-15 सालों में. उसके बाद से आपने उसमें कुछ डाला नहीं, और फसल उगाते गए. अभी जो फसल उग रही है वो सिर्फ एक हरी हरी पत्ती उग रही है, बस और कुछ नहीं. उसमें देयर इज नो न्यूट्रिएंट. यू आर ओनली फिलिंग योर स्टमक, यू आर नॉट गेटिंग एनीथिंग फ्रॉम दैट crop. And that is why this organic farming and everything has come. So why organic farming is important? This is the reason. They are trying to replenish all those lost minerals into the soil and giving us good quality of food. Because other than the plants or the food that we eat, if you can see, like calcium has milk products, leafy greens, phosphorus is salmon, yogurt, turkey, magnesium, almonds, cashews, black beans, sodium is salt, processed food, chloride, seaweed, salt, potassium. And again, the same thing I will again repeat. I know I'm repeating myself again and again, but I really want to highlight over here the difference between the RDA and the optimal level. Okay, you see the difference between calcium's RDA and you see the optimal level. Okay. Now trace we saw in minerals. So in minerals also there are two type of minerals: bulk minerals and trace minerals. Why bulk minerals? So bulk minerals, basically you need them in larger quantities, and trace minerals are required in smaller quantities. That does not mean they are any less important. They are equally important, just that the quantity is slightly less. So if you see calcium, it's in milligram, 2000 milligram. Phosphorus is 4 grams. Magnesium is 800 milligrams. Chloride is 3.6 grams. And as compared to these trace minerals, it is very less. Okay, these are very less. 2000 microgram. Okay, 200 micrograms. 200 microgram of selenium. So that is very less. The quantity is very less. 45. None of them are in 100 also. The milligram, none of them are in 100. They are basically less than 100 milligrams. So that is why they are called trace minerals. So as I was saying, the RDA and optimal level. So RDA is something which is recommended daily base minimum. आप इतना खाओगे तो आप खुश रहोगे. But for your body to work at its optimal level, at its best level, you need to give these vitamins and minerals at that particular level. For example, as we discussed, calcium. If you just have 500 milligram, you don't even see the results of it. At 1000 milligrams, you will start seeing some beneficial effect. The actual effect will be only when you're taking it at 2000 milligrams level. Without that, your body is not going to give you those results. And the term I have used earlier, oxidative stress, or the oxidation in your body. Okay, your body consumes a lot of oxygen, and the cells, they use this oxygen to do all the processes. Mitochondria is your powerhouse. It uses this oxygen and generates energy. Cytoplasm is also a secondary powerhouse. Cytoplasm basically uses glucose. Your mitochondria, it uses fats also as a substrate and everything. But when this oxygen is harming your cell, and creating an oxidative stress. These minerals are the ones which actually help you out reducing that oxidation. Okay, so if you're not giving enough of vitamins and minerals to your body, and enough as in, I say, optimal level, you will not be able to function at your best. Your body will not be able to work at its best. So uh, be mindful of this, and if required, if you ever feel, get your medical test done, and if you see that your blood reports are not up to the mark, do consult your doctor for supplementation. So we now discussed the calories that we require. We now discussed the calories from what all substrates it should come from, uh, the carbs, the fats, and the proteins. And we saw how many grams of each substrate we need to have. So here on your screen, you can see one basic chart which I have made. This is something which I have created for myself and to the clients that I make diet for. So here you can just select the type of food, and you can start putting down. At the bottom, you can get a calorie. I'll just show you another slide in which I'll share this chart. Okay. Okay. So 1 minute. Okay. Yeah. Can you see this chart and the Excel sheet?
All right, sir.
Yeah. So, okay, now let's start with the wake up. I've selected almonds. So I have 5 almonds. Then when I come to breakfast, I say I want to have eggs today over here. So I'm having 3 whole eggs. Don't worry about the yellow. Do not throw it. It is very important for you. The yolk has a lot of good fat. It is not going to add to your cholesterol. Believe me, it is not going to add unless you start eating 10, 20 eggs like those power builders. We are basically just wanting ourselves to keep healthy. So let's say now today I don't want to have poha. I want to have something else in my breakfast. I say I want to have some quinoa khichdi. So you see the calories changed. Okay. So what I use is I basically use this sheet to plan my diet. And then at the end over here, I get the number of calories that I total want to have. So earlier I had made if you remember, if you can recollect, I had selected 2000 calorie diet, correct? So I'll just go back to the poha part of it. Okay. And if you see, after putting down all the items, I am coming at 2000 calories. My total protein is about 111, which is slightly higher, but for me it is okay. You can change it according to the previous slides that I showed you. Fat is at 78. We were at 77 and I'm consuming 78 grams of fat, and balance is the carbs. So I'm good with these calories. And now what all I am having? Okay, so when I wake up, I'm having almonds. At breakfast, I'm having eggs, poha, some butter to make this poha, milk for my tea. But tea in itself is not going to have any calories, so I've not added tea. I'm adding 5 grams of sugar, but I'm still okay with it. You know, it's within my calorie. It's within my calorie requirement. At lunch, I plan to have breast. I plan to use 5 grams of ghee to use to cook that chicken, some tomato, onion to make some small gravy or to make it a bit tasty. Okay, I'm having tur dal, I'm having rice, and having veggie. Okay, vegetables. Then midday I'll have fruit, banana. I'll again make some oats in milk. I'll add flax seeds and walnut to make up for my good fats. Okay, and sunflower seeds also. That gives me some good amount of good quality fat. And in the dinner, I'm having paneer because I want to still add up to my fat and I want to add up to my protein. So paneer is giving me equal amount of fat and equal amount of protein. But since it is highly dense in fat, you cannot consume too much of paneer also. Then again, I'm using ghee, 5 grams of ghee to cook this paneer. In the evening, I decide to have some rajma and chawal. along with veggie. So let's say I don't want to have paneer over here. I decide to have fish over here. So I say I'll have maybe salmon. Okay. If I get salmon, I'll have salmon. So I have 100 grams of salmon. And then I see what my calories went to. Okay. So I went down by 80 calories, but I'm still very good with protein. I'm still very good with fat. So if you want, you can change to bring these calories up. Maybe you can increase the rice to 60. Okay, not 60. Maybe you can make it 75. And okay, we are back to 2300 calories. So this sheet allows you to plan your diet. Okay. Now, okay, this is my sheet. So you may ask, but sir, we don't have this sheet. What are we to do now? Hum kya kare? So, okay, we'll go back to the slide again. Okay. Okay. So we are back to the slide. And what we will do is we can use these apps. There's one MyFitnessPal app. There's Eat This Much app. There's My Diet Meal Plan. So these are different type of apps that we have. Saurabh, sir, just confirm you're able to see the correct screen.
That is right, sir. We can see that.
Okay, thank you. So that was the sheet that I use. What you can do is you can use these apps. Now, MyFitnessPal, in MyFitnessPal, you can just plan whatever you plan to eat. Okay. And you feed in how many grams of that, it will give you the calories, macros, and everything. Eat This Much is a little different type of app. What it does is you just tell this app that I want to have 2000 calories. In these calories, you tell the app how many grams of protein you want to have, carbs you want to have, fat you want to have, and you tell them you want to have 4 meals in a day and one snack, two snack, and it will give you different dishes. Okay, to plan for yourself. That will allow you to just plan your diet. It will tell you up khichdi khao. The only disadvantage is this is a little westernized app, so you won't find many Indian type of foods in this. Okay, my diet plan still gives you something. Basically, what I want to do is what I want to teach you is, I give you a fish and you're sorted for today. I don't want to do that. I want to tell you, I want to teach you how to catch a fish. Once I teach you how to catch a fish, you can plan your diet. If you can see, calculating your BMR-TD, I don't think it's too difficult. Once you know how much protein and fat you need to have, balances carbs. Now you know what food you like. People may not, everybody doesn't like rice. Okay, you don't need to have rice. You can compensate, you can change that with something else. Change it with quinoa, change it with dalia, change it with bajra roti, whatever you want. You don't like chicken, you have fish. You don't want fish, you want you want to eat something else, eat something else. So you can create a diet for yourself just by following this. The important thing is to measure your food. This I highlight to everyone. Why measuring food? Because unless you measure the food, you won't know how many calories you are consuming. And unless you know how many calories you're consuming, you'll not be able to get the results. You must have fallen sick someday. I am sure हम लोग बीमार तो पड़ते हैं, तो हम डॉक्टर के पास जाते हैं, and the doctor prescribes us some medicine. So how do we consume those medicine? आज 4 खा लेता हूँ, आज ये 3 ढक्कन पी लेता हूँ सिर्फ. Do we do that? Or we eat as per what the doctor has told us? So I think the doctor will tell you morning have one tablet, 5 or 10 ml of this syrup, isn't it? Evening में इतना खा लो, उतना खा लो. And that medicine is also 500 grams hai, 300 grams hai, 250 grams hai. So what the doctor is doing? The doctor is prescribing you a medicine which is in some measured quantity. And because the doctor has prescribed you, आप वो बराबर से खा रहे हो. Food is also a medicine for your body. So the day you start measuring it, you will get proper results, because then you know how many calories you have consumed. And I know it is difficult. You're staying in a family of 4, 5, 6, whatever. It's difficult to consume food. Okay, अभी मेरे घर में तो चावल साथ में बनता है, दाल साथ में बनती है. So what you do is, once you make a plan like this and you know you need to have 50 grams of rice, okay, for one day, or maybe just for the initial few days, just see that 50 grams of uncooked. Now this particular sheet, let me again highlight this particular sheet, which you can see the Excel one on your screen. This is all raw food. Okay, because raw food and cooked food is not the same. I tell you to have 50 grams of dal. अगर यहाँ पे जैसे राजमा था, राजमा 40 ग्राम लिखा हुआ है, that is raw rajma. So do you think raw rajma 40 grams and cooked rajma is going to be the same? No, it will look different. If I tell you to have 2 katoris of dal, अब वो 2 कटोरी दाल को मैं 30 ग्राम रॉ दाल से 2 कटोरी भी बना सकता हूँ, 1 कटोरी भी बना सकता हूँ, 4 कटोरी भी बना सकता हूँ. पीपल हु स्टे इन हॉस्टल, याद है आपको दाल, आपके हॉस्टल डेज की, उसमें दाल कम पानी ज्यादा रहता था. तो 4 कटोरी खा लो, 10 कटोरी खा लो, अब पी तो सिर्फ दाल का पानी ही रहे हो, है ना. सो दैट इज वाई मेजरिंग रॉ फूड इज इंपॉर्टेंट. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, rice, when you cook it and you drain the water from the rice is approximately 3 times. So if you want to have 50 grams of rice, cooked rice will approximately weigh 150 grams. This is one small equation which I'm telling you. Roti, जनरली अबाउट 30 to 40 ग्राम्स की एक रोटी स्टैंडर्ड साइज की हमारे घर में बनती है. अगर आप रोटी पकड़ो तो उसमें 30 to 40 ग्राम्स का आटा रहेगा, स्टैंडर्ड. सो व्हाट यू कैन डू इज, you first 1 or 2 days or in your initial journey, take raw material, cook the food, have a staple bowl or something at your home and select, हाँ ठीक है, ये जो मेरा राइस था ये 1 कटोरी में बन रहा है, 2 कटोरी में बन रहा है, मुझे इतना खाना है. So once you get used to doing that, no, then that eyeballing is very easy for you. Then it becomes easy. I mean, sometimes even for me on ship, as I say, it's not very easy to tell the chief cook कि यार मेरे लिए तो ये बना दे, मेरे लिए तो वो बना दे. एक आदमी है, उसको 24 लोगों का खाना बनाना है. He cannot cook like this. So over a period of time, I have mastered this art of just gauging my food. So I gauge my food and I know. I still carry a weighing scale on the ship, believe me. And sometimes I take the liberty of being a master on the ship and ask my chief cook to make certain things for me. But that's not always possible for everyone. Even at home, as I said, if you're living in a family of 4 or 5, it's not. But get in this habit. Have your food measured for initial days. Have it compared with some bowl or something at your home, or a standard bowl. Standard bowl generally is 250 grams. Okay, and then slowly you'll get the hang of it. So this is how a proper diet is made. Lastly, not lastly, actually, we have exceeded almost 1.5 hours. I'll quickly go through the water part of it. So water, I believe everybody knows how important water is, and yet we fail to consume the required amount of water. Now, our body is made up of 50 to 70% of water only, and we need water to survive. Eh, You can survive without food for some time, but you cannot survive without water. करवा चौथ का फास्ट रख के देख लो भाई, कितना डिफिकल्ट है, बीवियों को पता है. सो I'm just going quickly through this slide to tell you the importance of water. And lastly, I will just tell you how much water actually is required. Okay, 3.7 liters for men and 2.7 liters for women. This is the amount of water. Now, again, it is not water. If you can read in the slide, it is written fluid. It is written fluid. But this is the amount of fluid your body needs every day to function properly. All these cellular processes, digestion, sweating, this, that, everything, all these processes are consuming this much body from water from your body. or fluid from your body. So if you don't replenish this fluid in your body, you are going to feel dehydrated. And dehydration itself has its side effects. You'll start having headache. Again, your body functions will start reducing. You will not be alert. The best way to see whether you're dehydrated or not, we on ships, we have a chart, a color chart. White is you are hydrated, then slightly yellow. As it becomes more and more dark, that is the color of your urine. So if the urine that you're passing is absolutely the color of water, colorless basically. So that means it's good. The more it starts tending towards yellowish color, that means you are getting dehydrated and you should replenish yourself with some fluid. So another funda was 8 glasses per day. So now those 8 glasses is of water, and one glass is considered about 250 ml. So you're consuming 2 liters of water in the form of water. Then you drink tea, coffee, that dal which we spoke about, that has water. So some fluid is going in your body. You need to ensure that you have about 3.7 men and 2.7 liters of fluid for women. If you drink that much, more the merrier, more the merrier. And don't worry, you are not going to drink excess water. You will not, nothing will happen. There are researches, proper researches done at what level of drinking water you can get water toxicity. And believe me, you will not be able to consume utna pani peene. You will have to just stay in the washroom only the entire day. If you start drinking that much, you will not drink that much. So drink as much water as possible. If for the few days, if you measure your water, it will be very good. You see, I'll just show you. This is the jug that I use. Can it be seen over here on the picture? So this is it's
Yeah,
a
we got a
1.2.
glimpse of it. How many liters it is?
So that is 1.2 liter, and I
Okay.
consume 3 jugs of this per day.
Perfect.
That's three jugs of this, and in addition to the other fluids that I consume. Okay. So let's very quickly, let's go through your exercise routines. Okay. Now, to explain exercises and everything in this session, it's going to be too much. I'll probably in the coming months we can have a separate session on exercise, but diet is very important. And unless you are physically active, we saw health and we saw fitness. Okay. So as we discussed, fitness is also very important. You need to be fit. So you need to do some exercise and to pack that muscle, to build that muscle, because muscle is in your body, muscle consumes the maximum amount of energy. So the more muscles you have, the more your BMR will be. Your basal metabolic rate itself will go high if you have more muscles, if you have a good muscle mass. Plus, it takes care of sarcopenia in later age. Sarcopenia is basically as you start aging, your body will automatically start losing muscle. So if you don't have any muscle, then you're losing from whatever existing you had, which was negligible. So now if you have packed a lot of muscles, you will still be able to retain a lot of it, as you grow old. That is why you must have seen as you grow old, the older people, they start slouching. Slowly the back goes down because, the muscle mass is slowly reducing. They become less active. They become less mobile because, they don't have enough muscles. They don't have enough energy. And the more you sit, the more you start becoming sedentary. So 150 minutes of exercise, okay, is actually beneficial and best for you. If it is a moderate intensity exercise, very good. If you can do vigorous exercise, then you can reduce it to 75 minutes per week. So if you consider 150 minutes, it's just about 30 minutes for 5 days a week. And that's hardly anything. 30 minutes, I think we all can spare in a day to do some physical activity. And if you incorporate some resistance training in your routine, I would say sone pe suhaga, because resistance training is something which is going to help you build muscle. Okay, and that will again, increasing muscle will uh, increase your metabolism also, BMR also. So resistance training again does not necessarily mean you have to join a fancy gym, take a membership, and bahut sara wazan uthana hai. No, you can have some bands at home, some small weights at home, and you can do basic exercises. Squats, bicep curls, shoulder press. Okay, a warm up is very important. Warm up helps you increase the body temperature. It makes your muscles supple. Okay, provides that required oxygen, which is going to prepare your body for the exercise session. So warm up is very important. Do a good 10 minutes warm up and have about 20 minutes of exercise session. Okay, cool down is a little highly overrated. If you don't cool down, it is still okay. Our body will automatically cool down. If you have time enough, 5 minutes of cool down is again very good, I would say. So here is just a small table which I have made, and some again small definitions in exercises. What is low intensity steady state? That is walking. If you just go for a walk is not an exercise, as we mentioned. It's neat. Okay, so don't say अरे मैं तो रोज चलता हूँ, बहुत exercise करता हूँ मैं. नहीं, that is neat. That is not exercise. To have some exercise, you need to jog. Okay, you need to be in your moderate uh, aerobic state of heart rate. So your aerobic heart rate is basically 70 to 80% of your maximum heart rate is your aerobic rate, and anaerobic heart rate is 80 to 90%. That is your anaerobic heart rate. And what is your maximum heart rate? Very simple, 220 minus your age. That is the maximum heart rate you should go up to. Should not go beyond that. So 220 minus, I'm 45, so it will be 175. I should not go beyond 175. And now 70 to 80% of 175 will be my aerobic heart rate. Aerobic heart rate is basically good for fat burning, and anaerobic 80 to 90%, it's good for building muscles. Okay, so if you're doing moderate and high exercises in this particular fashion, it will be very beneficial for you. If you need any personalized diets or exercise plans, I have my Instagram. It's Sale Fit with Ambarish. I am there on LinkedIn also. You can definitely connect with me for any plans, personalized plans, any tips, exercise plans, anything. Okay. And I initially in the slide I had mentioned the ICMR dietary guidelines, which the ICMR has just issued this year. So I've just added a link to this in this slide. You can Google it also, and you'll get, it's a lengthy 150, 160 page this thing edition, which has updated details. So you can go through that. Well, with that, gentlemen and ladies, I would like to thank you all for attending this webinar. I hope it was helpful. And I know you have not become an expert, but at least I believe you will be able to catch your own fish now, make a diet for yourself. Thank you so much.
Perfect, sir. Thank you so much. And one request, this link, if you can, the PDF, if you can share in the school app.
Oh, sure. Sure,
under
definitely.
the nutritional category. So it will be easier for
Definitely.
people to pick up from there.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
And
Definitely
if you
will do
can
that.
just stop sharing, I'll stop the recording.
Oh, yes.